In the last lecture, we discussed about the Young's double slit experiment, its setup, and how the fringe width was calculated. So the next topic is the intensity distribution in case of Young's double slit experiment, that is how the intensity is distributed on the screen, how the intensity depends upon the phase difference of the lights which are coming from the two different slits. So here we have considered an observation point P and two rays are shown over here that are coming from S1 and S2 respectively, and the distance between the screen and the slits or the sources of light is capital D. So first of all, we will consider the electric fields which are produced at point P due to the different rays. So this is the first ray, first light ray, and this is the second light ray. The electric field produced at point P due to the light coming from slit S1, let's say that is E1 vector. This is the electric field at point P due to the light which is coming from S1 slit. So let's say the electric field is a cos function, that is, now we know that the electric field is a sinusoidal. It can be written in the form of sine or it can be written in the form of cosine. So we can do either way. So let's say we take over here cosine wave. So E1 vector can be written as E01. This is the magnitude of the amplitude of the electric field of the light which is coming from S1 slit. So E01 times cos of, so we are taking it as a cos function. So cos of kx minus omega t. We have done it in the first two lectures that we can write a cosine wave, or we write a wave in the form of its wave number and dependent upon its angular frequency, that is kx. K is the wave number minus omega t. Omega is the angular frequency. So this can be written as kx minus omega t. So you can take the initial phase over here and you will have to take the same initial phase for the case of E2 vector also. But we know that these two sources are coherent, so the initial phase will be the same, and hence that initial phase will not make any difference on the fringes which are produced at point capital P or on the screen. So this is the electric field due to the light which is coming from S1 ray, and it can be written in this form. Here x is the distance which is travelled by the light from the source to the observation point. So from the source to the observation point, the distance travelled by light is S1p. So this is for the case of first ray. So x will be S1p. And similarly for E2 vector, that is the electric field vector due to the light, or electric field vector at point P due to the light which is coming from the source S2, this will be equal to E02 cos of kx minus omega t. So x will be the distance which is travelled by the light from the source to the observation point. So in the first case, this distance, so you can write k in its actual form, that is this is equal to 2 pi by lambda. So k is 2 pi by lambda, and x for the case of first light ray is S1p, that is distance travelled by the light from the source to the observation point, minus omega t as it is. And similarly you can do it for the case of second ray. So this will be k times x. So k can be written as 2 pi by lambda, and distance travelled is S2p minus omega t as it is. So here it is a vector quantity, and on the right hand side also there should be a vector quantity. So let's say the direction of electric field at point P of the light ray coming from source S1, let's say this direction is n cap. So it can be any random direction. So let's say this is n cap, and this distance capital D is so large as compared to the distance between the two slits. So we can assume that the direction of electric field coming from the light ray which is coming from source S2, that direction will be same as that of the direction of the E1 vector. So E2 vector's direction will be same as that of E1 vector's direction, provided that this distance of the screen from the source is very large as compared to the distance between the two sources. So in that case only we can take the direction of the two electric fields as same. So this is also n cap, and here also we have written n cap. So the net electric field or the resultant electric field at point P, that is E vector, this is the resultant electric field at point P, this will be equal to E1 vector plus E2 vector, and when we will do the vector sum, n cap can be taken outside. So it will be equal to E01 cos of 2 pi by lambda S1p minus omega t plus E02 cos of 2 pi by lambda S2p minus omega t, in this manner. So the magnitude of the electric field will be simply this term which is in the square bracket. So this will be equal to E01 cos of 2 pi by lambda S1p minus omega t plus E02 cos of 2 pi by lambda S2p minus omega t. So this is the magnitude of the resultant electric field at point P. So the intensity of the resultant electric field, intensity I of the resultant electric field is proportional to E square. This we already know that the intensity of the light is proportional to the magnitude of the square of the magnitude of the electric field. And if we remove this proportionality, there is a constant which is epsilon naught C times E square. So this is the constant. The intensity of the light is dependent upon E square, and it is directly proportional to E square with the constant which is epsilon naught times C. So this epsilon naught times C, it can be taken as a constant, so we can replace it with the factor capital K. So this intensity will be equal to K times E square. So the resultant intensity will be equal to K times E square. Now this is the magnitude of the electric field. Now we have to do square on both sides. So E square will be equal to E01. So this is first term A plus B whole square. So we have to do A plus B whole square, that will give you E square. So we will be inserting that expression over here, that will be equal to A square plus B square plus 2AB. So A square is E01 square cos square 2 pi by lambda S1p minus omega t. Then B square, that is E02 square cos square of 2 pi by lambda S2p minus omega t, and then plus 2AB, that is 2 times A times B, which is E01 into E02, E01 into E02 times cos of 2 pi by lambda S1p minus omega t times cos of 2 pi by lambda S2p minus omega t. So this is the value, or this is the expression for the intensity of the resultant electric field. So as you can see that this intensity, it depends upon time. So this expression will give us the intensity at a particular instant of time. So this is the instantaneous intensity. So this intensity which we have found over here, this is the instantaneous intensity. That is, this expression gives us the intensity at any instant of time. So from here we will be simplifying this last term. Here we can see that here we have 2 cos of A times cos of B. So we will be using the expression for 2 cos A times cos B. So 2 cos A cos B, this is equal to cos of A plus B plus cos of A minus B. So this expression will be used in the last term. Here we have 2 cos A into cos B. So we will be simplifying it. So the instantaneous intensity will be equal to E01 square cos square 2 pi by lambda S1p minus omega t plus E02 square cos square 2 pi by lambda S2p minus omega t plus E01 into E02. So this will be taken outside, and we have cos of A plus B, that is cos of A plus B plus cos of A minus B. So this will be cos of A plus B. So when you do cos of A plus B, this will be equal to cos of 2 pi by lambda S1p plus S2p minus twice of omega t. So this will be the first term, that is cos of A plus B, cos of A plus B, then plus cos of A minus B. So cos of A minus B will be equal to 2 pi by lambda S1p minus S2p and minus omega t, and then we will have plus omega t. So that will cancel with each other. So we will just have over here cos of 2 pi by lambda S1p minus S2p. So this will be the whole term. So now this is the expression for the instantaneous intensity of the light at point capital P. So this is the instantaneous value, but we know that the detectors or even our eye, it detects the average value of intensity. It doesn't detect the instantaneous value of intensity. We have to calculate the average value of intensity over the whole time period. So average value of intensity over time period, capital T. So capital T is the time period, total time period. So from here we will calculate average value of intensity, and average value of intensity is given by 1 by T 0 to capital T times I dt. So this is the average value formula for the average value of intensity. From here, if we insert the whole expression, so when you insert the first term in this formula, so here we will have cos square. We have to average the function cos square. This function has to be averaged over a whole time, and then this function also has to be averaged over a whole time, and then this whole function will be averaged over the whole time period. Only then we will get the average value of intensity. So if we average this term over the whole time period, that is average value of cos square omega t minus theta. So this can be written as cos square of omega t minus theta. So minus we can take outside. So we know that this will be cos square of 2 pi by lambda S1p minus omega t. If you take minus outside, this will be equal to omega t minus 2 pi by lambda S1p. Okay, so from here if you take minus outside, the signs will get reversed and we will get this form. So we are averaging cos square omega t minus theta over the whole time period, and this is equal to, this is the symbol for averaging over the whole time period. This will be equal to 1 by t of 0 to capital T cos square omega t minus theta dt. So when you average this first term, that is when you average cos square omega t minus theta over the whole time period, when you calculate this, this will come out to be equal to 1 by 2. And similarly, we have the second term over here. Here also we have cos square 2 pi by lambda s2p minus omega t, or we can say we have cos square omega t minus theta, and we will be averaging this second term also. So to calculate the average value of intensity, we will be averaging this function also. So this will be also equal to 1 by 2. Then we have the function, then we have this function, that is cos of some theta minus 2 omega t, or we can say we have cos of 2 omega t minus theta. Okay, so we have cos of 2 omega t minus theta, and when we do the time average of 2 omega t minus theta cos function. So this is the cos function. Over here we average the square of the cos function, and that average is always equal to 1 by 2. Here we have simple cos function, and when we average this cos function over the whole time period, this will be equal to 1 by t 0 to capital T cos of 2 omega t minus theta. So this is simply a cos function, simply cos function. So when simple cos function is averaged over its whole time period, this will be equal to 0. And the last term we have is cos of 2 pi by lambda s1p minus s2p. This function is not dependent upon time. So here we are averaging over the whole time period. So this is just a constant, and hence the whole expression for I average will be equal to, so the expression for the I average will be simplified to k, which is the constant, times E01 whole square times 1 by 2, which was the average of the cos square function, plus E02 square times 1 by 2, and this 1 by 2 comes from the average of the another cos square function. And here we have 0, because the average of a simple cos function is equal to 0, and here we do not have any time dependence, so this is a constant, so this will be equal to as it is. Now this can be further, we can take k inside the bracket. This will be equal to k times E01 square divide by 2 plus k times E02 square divide by 2 plus k times E01 E02 times cos of 2 pi by lambda s1p minus s2p. So here we will be modifying this expression. Now we take minus outside, and we know that cos of minus theta is equal to cos theta. So we will take minus outside, and this can be simply written as s2p minus s1p, because we know that s2p is greater than s1p distance. So this will be simply equal to this expression. So we know that electric field at point P due to the light coming from slit S1 is E1 vector, and this was given by this formula, and E2 vector was given by this expression. And if we find the value of intensity for the light coming from slit S1, that will be equal to k times E1 square. This is the value of intensity coming from the light coming from the slit S1, that will be equal to k times E1 square. So the average value of the intensity of the electric field from slit S1, that will be equal to average value of k times E1 square. So this I average, this will be equal to k times, we will put the value of E1 square, that will be simply equal to E01 square times cos square. So that is E01 square times the average value of cos square term, and we know that the time average of the cos square term is always equal to 1 by 2. So I average, that is the average value of intensity of the light coming from the slit S1 is equal to K times E01 square divided by 2. So this is the average value of intensity. So since it is coming from slit S1, so we will write this average value of intensity as I1. And similarly, the average value of intensity at point P due to the light which is coming from slit S2, that will be equal to K times E02 square divided by 2. So now here you can see we have K0, K times E01 square divided by 2. So we know that this term is equal to the average value of intensity of the light at point P due to the light coming from slit S1. So this will be equal to I1 plus that second term will be equal to I2. Now we will be changing this expression. Here we have E01. So we will be putting the value of E01 from here. E01 simply will be equal to 2 times E1 divided by K under root. From here E01 is equal to 2 times E1 divided by K under root. Similarly, E02 is equal to under root of 2I2 divided by K. So we will be putting the expression of E01 and E02 over here. So that will be equal to under root of 2I1 divided by K times 2I1 divided by 2I2 divided by K cos of, now this is the 2 pi by lambda times S2P minus S1P. So S2P minus S1P is the path difference between the two lights. So this is the path difference. So this path difference times 2 pi by lambda gives us the phase difference. So this will be equal to delta. So this will be the phase difference of the two electric fields which are reaching at point P. So this is the phase difference of the two electric fields at point P. So we will simplify this expression. The I average or the resultant average intensity will be equal to I1 plus I2. So this will be simplified to simply 2 root I1 I2 times cos of delta. So this is the final result of the average intensity at point P. Now at point P means at every observation point delta will vary, because if you change the observation point, the distance S2P and S1P will vary, and hence their difference will also vary. So as you change the observation point, this delta will vary, and hence the intensity at different observation points will be different. So we will be taking some conclusions from this formula. So first conclusion is that this cos delta, this is a cos function, and its maximum value can be +1 and its minimum value can be -1. So for the maximum value, when cos delta is equal to +1, so in that case the average intensity will be maximum. So in that case I max will be equal to I1 plus I2 plus twice of root I1 times I2. So this is the case when cos delta is equal to +1. So this will be equal to root I1 plus root I2 whole square. So this is the value of maximum intensity. Then is the minimum intensity. For minimum intensity, cos of delta will be equal to -1. And when you put cos of delta is equal to -1, we get I1 plus I2 minus of 2I1 into I2, and this will be equal to root I1 minus root I2 whole square. So this is the minimum value of intensity and this is the maximum value of intensity. Suppose that I1 is equal to I2, that is the intensity of the lights which are coming from slit S1 and slit S2, they both are equal. So in that case, in this particular case, minimum value of intensity, in this particular case, the minimum value of intensity, if I1 is equal to I2, so minimum intensity will be equal to 0. So we will get a perfect dark fringe in that case. So there will be a perfect dark fringe. And the second conclusion is that if S1P and S2P, these distances are very greater than small d. Small d is the distances between the two slits. So S1P and S2P, if these are very greater than small d, so intensities I1, they can be approximated equal to each other. So distance is very large. So I1 can be approximated to I2, and let's say these both are equal to I0. In this particular case, when S1P and S2P, these are very greater than small d, so the formula that we have written, that I average, that is equal to I1 plus I2 plus twice of under root I1 into I2 cos of delta. So this expression will reduce to, so the average intensity, resultant intensity at point P, this will be equal to I0 plus twice of under root of I0 into I0 cos of delta. So this will be equal to 2I0 plus 2I0 cos of delta. And we can take 2I0 outside. So this will be equal to 1 plus cos of delta. So we will be using cos square theta expression, that is cos square theta is equal to 1 plus cos 2 theta divided by whole 2. So from here we get cos square theta by 2 is equal to 1 plus cos theta divided by whole divided by 2. So from here we get 1 plus cos theta, this will be equal to 1 plus cos theta, this will be equal to 2 times cos square theta by 2. So over here theta, this 1 plus cos theta, we have over here 1 plus cos theta, so theta is delta. So in that case we will put theta as delta, and this expression will be equal to 2I0 times 1, this will be equal to twice of cos square delta by 2. So this intensity, final intensity, will be equal to 4I0 times cos square delta divided by 2. So this is the value of intensity when I1 is approximately equal to I2 and it is taken as I0. So this is the resultant value of intensity at a particular observation point. So this will depend upon the phase difference at point P. So let's see how this intensity pattern looks like. From here we take I by I0 on left hand side, that is I divided by I0 on left hand side, and this will be equal to 4 times cos square of delta by 2. So we will be drawing, or we will be drawing the pattern of I by I0, that is how I by I0 it varies with delta, because as we change the observation point P, delta will change, and hence if delta will change, the right hand side will change, and hence this left hand side will also change. So we want to see how this change occurs. So the y-axis is taken as left hand side, that is I divided by I0. This is the y-axis, and on the horizontal axis we take the phase difference at a particular observation point. So we know that when delta is equal to 0, over here delta is equal to 0. So when delta is equal to 0, cos 0 is equal to 1. So I by I naught will have its maximum value at delta equal to 0. And when delta is equal to pi, when delta will be equal to pi, here we have cos square pi by 2. So cos square pi by 2 is equal to 0. So in that case, this left hand side will be equal to 0. So at delta is equal to pi, this left hand side will vanish. So this graph looks like this. Over here it is minus pi. So this graph looks like this. And then when we have 3 pi, and here it is 2 pi, in between there is 2 pi. So when you put delta is equal to 2 pi, so when you put delta is equal to 2 pi, here we have cos square pi, and cos square pi is equal to 1. Again this left hand side will go to its maximum value. And when delta is equal to 3 pi, when delta you put over here as 3 pi, cos square 3 pi by 2 is equal to 0, then again it will, left hand side will drop down to 0. So this intensity, it will show this pattern. In this manner, that is when there is pi, 3 pi, 5 pi, when the phase difference is pi, 3 pi, 5 pi, or minus pi, minus 3 pi, minus 5 pi, we get a dark fringe. And then when we have 2 pi, 4 pi, or minus 2 pi, minus 4 pi, then we have a maximum value of intensity. So this is how the intensity of the interference pattern, it varies with the phase difference at a particular observation point.